Good morning, everyone. This is Brad Matheny. Today is the 8th. Let me check. Yeah, the 8th of April, Tuesday. This is the Plan Your Trade video for Tuesday, the 8th of April. And we are looking at a bottom rally start in counter trend mode. I specifically had a question about this yesterday from one of my subscribers. And, it's very interesting how these patterns are playing out. Now, first, as a question I had on TradingView, these are proprietary. These have taken years of research to try to figure out. They are not perfect, but they do provide a very good, reasonable solution in terms of preparing for what's coming. They do take a bit of interpretation. I've been doing them now, using them now for a little over 2.5 years daily, applying these things to the charts and kind of posting updates on TradingView since I think it was May or June of last year. I've been doing it every day. So I've got a pretty good idea of how these will play out. Not perfect still, but they are proprietary. Secondarily, my other research, which we'll skip all the charts right now and we'll go back over here to here we go, the daily Gann cycle patterns. We just passed this rolling top pattern here. There's actually an updated one in another folder. And we have the weekly cycle patterns, which are back here. We find them. Okay, here's the daily cycle patterns. These have been mapped out to the year 2050. There's the weekly patterns. You can see we've got these mapped out, going out quite a ways. And then, of course, you have some of my more extensive research like this, cycle patterns going out to 2100 and beyond, and others. I've got my predictive modeling systems, my Elliott wave systems, my Fibonacci systems, other proprietary indicators, and things. Now, these are all proprietary. Okay. This has literally taken decades of knowledge and experience and training to try to figure out. And I try to put them into visual form for you, or logical form like this for you to be able to see and understand and use quite efficiently. So, for example, we are looking for that major bottom price rotation here on the 18th of July. That's the July low that I'm expecting. There's the October 7th low that I'm expecting, major bottom. Then you can see we move into 2026 here with topping. Now, in major topping, we will be in a broad uptrend. Through major bottoming, we are in a moderate downtrend. So even though you can see here 2024 into 2025, we're basically moving through a downtrend type of a cycle. I believe this topping pattern is going to move us into strength, into bullish trending, and I believe we're moving through a weakness period right now from March 23rd all the way into this October 7th area, which will move us back into period of strength through November. Little bit of weakness around January 28th, moving back into strength around, say, February and April. So be aware of kind of where we're at. These are all part of my research. These are delivered to my subscribers more so than you guys, but I share them every now and then along with the cycle patterns. So the purpose of all of this is to help you guys become better traders. I started doing this back in June, July, putting up these videos, trying to show you these cycle patterns and show you how they work. That's how I got the name the GOAT, and other names. But anyway, not everybody gets them. Not everybody likes them. Not everyone likes my charts. They say I draw too many stuff on it. One guy called me Picasso because, I'm changing the world, so to say. But long and short of it, we'll skip some of that and get right back into the data. So again, the data says we're looking at a bottom rally start. Now, in normal mode, a bottom rally start would be this is an hourly chart, some kind of a base bottom rally type of mode. Okay, and it may be with a gap, it may not be with a gap. So in theory, if this was the day, it could be like this, or it could be off of some gap, back off of this low. We would get some sort of a rally start. Now, in this mode, we are in an inverted bottom start, bottom rally start. So we're kind of looking at this kind of a breakdown mode. And given where we're at back over here, I'll drag this down. Given where we're at, trading about 518, 519 right now, we're looking at kind of a rally, too tight, too long. We're looking at kind of a breakdown. I've already drawn it here kind of in this red color. So I'll make this a light blue so you can see it. Make this a light blue. Well, that's just a circle. So you can see we're looking at kind of a rolling breakdown pattern today. Probably going to get down into the 504, 500, 504 area on the SPY, probably down in this area. And I would think that that would be a fairly solid pullback. Looks like we might get a touch up here in the 521 in the early morning, but then I see us moving back down into this support level, 500, 504, and then we move into tomorrow's top resistance pattern, which would essentially be a rally phase up out of this into a top, possibly back up here again, into a top and rolling back down again. So you can see we're likely going to be setting some resistance around this area, maybe up in this area here. And that's pretty much what we're doing right now. We're establishing a resistance zone for the consolidation pattern. Remember, I've got the consolidation set up down here kind of in this area, and I can zone this here for you. Consolidation level should be right in this 480, 485 area. As we move across, you know, we've got really this next roll right over here is going to reconfirm that resistance area, in my opinion. That's going to be what's going to set up the upper range, and then of course this lower range down here probably going to set up right around that 485, 490 area, which again, these are levels that I predicted, you know, weeks and months ago. As far as the breakdown, we're looking at the good solid excess phase peak pattern playing out. I kind of drew it right over here. Here's the flagging formation. Here's the flagging low off of this area. There's the breakdown. Below the low into what initially I thought was very shallow consolidation. Then back over here, I indicated that we were looking at another leg downward, pretty much right over in this area. I told everyone that no, we're not consolidating here. We're looking at another big broad leg downward, basically being 100% of this. So we had this move here. You can see we come right over into here, basically 100% move. If we go off of this low, puts us down at 487, 485. Okay. And again, where did we end up? We're finding support right now at 480, 487, 485. There's our 100% move. There's our support level. We're going to likely find support down here at this 480, 485 level. And that's going to be our 100% measured move. Now, the resistance that we find up here, make this in red, is just being established right now. Okay, well, the way price works when it runs through this resistance, like it's trying to do right now, I don't know if that's like it's trying to do right now. It's trying to run into this resistance. And where we're at with this resistance is pretty simple, guys. Okay, we are going to likely make this as red, make this some other red, bright red. Okay, that didn't work. Dark red. I don't want to make it like all the other colors. So, okay, we'll make it a kind of a bright yellow. So the resistance here is going to either be off the high or be off of secondary lower highs down here, setting up a rotational channel, which I've kind of drawn here over the next week or two. Ultimately, we will be moving into that June-July breakdown that I keep talking about way back over here, setting up that July 18th low, and could be a fairly shallow low, but it's going to probably be there. And the other thing is that we could invalidate at any point back to the upside. And if we invalidate and break this channel here, the resistance level back to the upside, we are then looking at an attempt to rally back above this flag low level and then ultimately up above the peak level way up here. So this is what we're looking at here. We're looking at a market that is attempting to consolidate, may attempt to invalidate and rally. And if not, we're going to see this breakdown into July and into October. So it's too early to call if this is the buy zone. I won't tell you to get involved in any type of buy zone yet. This is not a buying opportunity. Although you could pick some of your favorite stocks and sectors and take what I would call very small anchor positions, planning on lumping into a bigger buy zone here. Or a bigger buy zone back over here in October, possibly down in this area. So understand that there is that opportunity for you to play this out. Okay, you could buy small positions near these lows. Oh, that's text. I didn't want to add the text. You could buy small positions down here near these lows, make them yellow, or down here near this low, or really this is the area that you want to try to buy into. This is the ultimate low that's likely to happen. This is the secondary low, which is coming up. And again, these are the areas that I think are the more appropriate buy areas for long-term investors and not this little channel. Although you could buy some small anchor positions and beat up stocks on the way down. Give this time. Give this 2-3 weeks. See what happens. Watch for lows down around 480, 470 on the SPY, and then start to look for small anchor positions are like 1/10th or 1/20th of your normal position, preparing for that potential rally. So QQQ will do the same thing. It's an inverted counter trend, bottom rally start. You can see we're trading up here at 433. We're up in the upper range. We're going to get kind of a move into a breakdown, kind of an inverted bottom rally start being a top sell-off start. And then we move into another topping pattern over here, rolling down, probably with another gap. And then we move into consolidation. And then we move into a breakaway pattern, which I think will be possibly from a downside move on up. So we'll see how it plays out the rest of this week. And again, this is 1 hour, so, it's drawn a little too long, but whoops, just imagine these as days. Today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. Okay, let's go take a look at gold and silver. Gold and silver are basing. Look at this nice little base. We got a double bottom back over here. Really, Looking for volume, not getting volume. Dollars at 103. Markets are stronger today. You got the UK moving higher, Germany moving higher, Japanese moving higher. Bitcoin at 79,000. Oil is at 64. Um, we're really looking at kind of that basing pattern. And again, I still believe that we're going to get this big rally mode like this, rolling right back up out of this. We might get a stalling pattern right back over here, as I've indicated. There's 3100, 3120, pretty solid support resistance in this area. And I think after that, we rip higher up into 34, 3500. Same kind of thing setting up over here for silver. You can see silver moving into this kind of a deep V sideways consolidation pattern. The move today for metals is an inside breakaway, bullish, explosive, warning. The reason we're in warning is the short-term system is now starting to represent this intermediate pullback. Remember, you take a look at gold, come back over here, and gold on a daily or weekly basis has just been ripping. So here you take a look at it. And you can see that we have been really rolling through the cycle phases, and we've started this very big parabolic move. And I believe that we are going to continue this parabolic move off of the fear that's set up with the global economy, figuring out our consolidation right here quickly, rolling back up and rolling up into the 34, 3500. Ultimately, rolling up much further up into this 4,900 area and a little high, but ultimately running right up into this 48, 4,900 area within probably 30, 60 days. I do not think it's going to take very long for gold to really shine. Now, I did some work on the research over the weekend, given the amount of money that's been poured into the economy and the fact that China and others are preparing to dump even more stimulus into the markets. You know, we're looking at a level of gold, global gold, that should be at minimum right now, guys, at minimum somewhere around 42 to 4,800 right now. So we're undervalued at $3,000 gold by somewhere probably around $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. So we have literally to make up the difference right now, price wise, to determine where we're at. We need to come up about 1,400, so right about there, or here to make up the difference of where gold should be historically compared to in comparison to global risk factors. We're completely undervalued by about 60% to 46%, and that applies to silver as well. Silver should be up in the $45, $50 area right now, given where we're at for the global market and the risk side of it. So again, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Let's get this back to hourly. And leave this over here. And now let's go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is stalling back out near this this consolidation phase. Now, if you remember Bitcoin, we moved through this consolidation pattern into a little tiny, it's the pink one there, excess phase peak that broke down into consolidation through here. So there was a period of consolidation right over here, the little pink one. The big blue one, this maintained the flag. This was the low of the flag. We had to break down through the low of the flag in order to get into consolidation. we're still in consolidation. Okay. And what's interesting here, guys, is when you take a look at this from a standpoint, and then of course we have this little excess phase peak pattern here that we have yet to break, and we have not gotten below the flag low. But we have now gotten into what I call the cradle pattern. And the cradle pattern is kind of difficult to follow, but it basically, I'll show you the inverted cradle pattern here. We come up, find a peak, come back down, come back up, come back down. And now at this point, we're either going to break down and break below this low, or we're going to reverse back up and break out. That's called the cradle pattern. So now as we come down here, we've got this deep low, and we got this break here, and then this low, and then this move here. Here's our upper cradle pattern high. Here's our low. We're either going to break down, which I think is highly likely, or we're going to break away and try to move higher. So the way the cradle pattern works is it's basically a breakdown A, B, C type of a mode. Okay, and then that gives us the ability to either break up above this flag level or break down below that lower flag level. And at this point, we're in a very solid move. We're breaking back down. We set up this low. If we get a big breakdown below 76,000 on this Bitcoin, we're moving right down to 63,000, possibly down here into 53,000. I'll mark that as well. This is a pretty big breakdown setting up in Bitcoin. And what I want you to be aware of is we got a number of excess phase peak patterns and cradle patterns playing out here. And again, you can see we continued this downward trend because of the excess phase peak structure and the breakdown. We did not invalidate. We have not invalidated here. We are breaking downward into this channel. The next move for Bitcoin is an actual breakdown down into the 63,000 level, getting below this 73,000 level, targeting right here, the 63,000 level low. So, I'm not going to, I will tell you if it changes, but right now price is following this pathway, and there's nothing for me to tell you other than it should be continuing this pathway down to 63,000, where we'll probably set up some more consolidation and another cradle pattern before we go ahead and try to find some extra pattern moving forward. Okay, let me see how much time I've got. Oh, got to stop. Okay, guys, 23 minutes. Get some today. Talk to you later.